Hello students, in this video we can clearly understand what is meant by adverb and types of adverbs. This is based on English grammar. So let's go into a topic. First, what is the adverb? A word that adds to a meaning of a verb and it tells how a thing is done and when it is done and where it is done is called an adverb. So, in a simple way, it tells how a thing is done, where it is done, and when it is done. And there are six kinds of adverbs. What are they? Adverbs of manner, adverbs of place, adverbs of time, adverbs of number, adverbs of degree, and the last is interrogative adverbs. So, let's see one by one too with clear examples to understand it very easily. So the first one is adverb of manner. So this means it tells how an action is done. So from the word itself we can understand it explains how an action is done. For example, Ria talked wisely and the next example is Chris acted well. So from the two words wisely and well, so these are the adverbs used here and it explains how an action is done. That is, Ria has talked very wisely and Chris acted well. So this explains how an action is done and it is known as adverb of manner. So the next one is adverb of place. An adverb that tells us where an action is done means it explains at which place an action is done. So this is known as adverb of place. So let's see an example. I looked for her everywhere. So here from the example sentence, the word everywhere, we can understand that it explains the place where the action is done. So the word everywhere tells us where the action is done. So this is known as adverb of place. So from the word everywhere we can understand that is adverb of place. Then the next one is adverb of time. So from the word itself we can understand it explains when an action is done. So this is known as adverb of time and the example is she left early, the doctor came immediately. So from the two words early and immediately, this explains when the action is done. So from the first example it explains the action was done early and the next one it was done sudden immediately. So the word action and immediately tells us when an action is done. So this is known as adverb of time and the next one is adverb of numbers. So it tells us how often an action is done. So that is how many times an action is done or how it is repeated. So let's see an example. She visited at once. We often talk to them. So from the word once and often we can clearly understand that how often an action is done. So from the example word once and often we can clearly understand that the action is done only once and it is done often, that it is repeatedly. Then the next one is adverb of degree. So this adverb tells us how much or to what extent an action is done. So this is known as adverb of degree. So let's see an example. She was very tired. He was quite worn out. So from the word very and quite, we can understand how much an action is done. So the word very and quite tells us how often an action is done and this is known as adverb of degree. It tells us how many or how many extent of action is done. And the last one is interrogative adverbs. From the word itself we can understand that it acts a question. So when an adverb that acts a question is known as interrogative adverb. And the example is when did he come? How are you today? So from the word when and how, these are the words that ask the question. So when a sentence comes with an when or how, these are known as interrogative adverb and it is used to ask the question. So these are the adverbs and types of adverbs and you have clearly understand the example. Hope you understood. Thank you.